We are live, episode 4 of the FTN podcast. Week 3 of the NFL is in the books. Lakeshore Cup Week 3 is in the books. Had some very interesting games in Week 3. I am recording this on Tuesday. That Ravens and Lions game yesterday was very interesting. Very much affected those AFC Club House rankings, which I'll touch on later in this episode. But there's been some interesting movement in the AFC. I think it really comes down to 3 good teams. It looks like in years past where the AFC was far superior with that of the NFC, I think we are seeing an NFC that is very, very strong. There's at least 5 Super Bowl contenders in that NFC. I talk about AFC because that's where the Bills are and that's the team that I care about. But the NFC is very strong. So you got the Detroit Lions, you got the Green Bay Packers, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got the LA Rams. You got the Washington Commanders. You got arguably, you got the San Francisco 49ers. You never know with those guys. And that's 6 right there. In the AFC, there's probably 3 title contenders and 2 guys nipping at the shins of the title contenders, but we'll get into that later in the AFC Power Rankings. I think it is going to be a very interesting season. A ton to talk about after this week 3 in the AFC. Week 3 in fantasy, we had some name changes, we had some trades. Fantasy Bean is looking for trade partners. Hit my line, people. I am looking for a receiver number 3. Ladd McConkey has been disappointing for me. I would listen to offers for him. Juwan Johnson. Hey, X, I want Dalton Kincaid, brother. Give me Dalton Kincaid. Juwan for Kincaid, 1-for-1. Let's make it happen. I know you want to give me Kincaid. You're holding him over me, and you're trying to get a better trade offer. But 1-for-1, that is a fair trade. Accept the trade. Give me my guy. You still get a top 5 fantasy tight end right now in Juwan Johnson. I'm putting it on record because I want Kincaid. Let me get that guy. Before we get into the power rankings, before we get into the AFC Clubhouse rankings, 2 things I saw on social media that I want to talk about. First being that of the top 25 college quarterbacks of the past 25 years. Listen, I am not a massive college football watcher, but I grew up watching a lot of these guys. I can remember the hype of some of these guys, and some of these guys on that list, it needs adjusting. I am not going to go argue with Joey Burrow. I'm not going to argue with Cam Newton. Cam Newton at Auburn was electric. Joey B at LSU, electric with Coach O, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. That was an electric team, and they both fully deserve that. Vince Young, I was a bit younger, but Vince Young gets talked about to this point as one of the best college quarterbacks of all time, so I'm not going to argue with that. Tebow, I was a big Tebow guy. I'm a lefty. I was massive on Tebow, so I'm not going to argue with that. This is where the list gets interesting. Matt Leinart, good college quarterback, but there are 3 guys after him who need to get recognition. First off, Lamar, Heisman, electric. Coming out of school, people thought that he was the next Mike Vick. He was just an all-time prospect. Just someone who should be in that top 5. Baker, another guy from that 2018 draft class. But it's got to be number 8. Johnny Football. Listen, I got the Johnny Football shirt on. There's a Johnny Manziel jersey here. I love Johnny Football. He is my favorite quarterback of all time. He should be there above Matt Leinart. The charisma, the talent, that Alabama game, I will never forget. I mean, you couldn't bet back then as easy as you could right now on FanDuel, but that Bama game with Mike Evans, that run into his lineman, fumble the ball, come out, whip it, touchdown. Just that with the Drake, with the culture. Johnny was talked about, and his recognition needs to be deserved. Trevor Lawrence, generational guy, yes, I get it. They're generational, coming out of college, people thought he was going to be the next. He was one of the first guys in college that you saw kind of grow up from high school to what it is now, the pros. There was that show on Netflix, the quarterback, I can't remember what that show is called, but he was one of those guys in it. I remember in high school people were talking about it. And I think he's kind of that first guy of this new generation of social media where you can watch him grow up and kind of see from middle school and high school to what they are now. He was kind of that first batch of guys. Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston, that was a big conversation. Andrew Luck, Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, I'm going to give Kellen Moore his flowers. That guy's stats in college football were insane. I'm going to give him flowers. Very, very good player in college football. Tua with that natty. Jaden Daniels with a Heisman. Alex Smith. See, now we're getting into the guys that, RG3, I would move up if I could. Andrew Luck, I would move. These are just guys that I grew up with that I think deserve more recognition. I'd move Andrew Luck over Trevor Lawrence, even with the natty. See, the thing is, now I'm talking about guys who I liked and who I felt were going to be bigger guys in the NFL. I mean, it's hard to argue with natties, but I still think Johnny's got someone who should be up there. I think Johnny should be top 5. I think you got to put Johnny right behind Tim Tebow. I think Lamar goes behind Johnny at 6. I think Baker goes at 7. You put Matt Leinart maybe at 8. Then you start going to I think then the list kind of evens. I think RG3 should be above that of Breece Young and Caleb Williams. Caleb never won a natty, RG3 with electric in college and a Heisman winner, so you got to move him up there. Carson Palmer, I think, is underrated in this list. Kyler Murray was pretty solid. And then after that, you're kind of getting foggy. My college mindset is not as much, but the reason I want to talk about this is the Johnny disrespect is crazy. I remember last year guys were talking about, Shador has more hype than John. Guys were not there for the Johnny football years. Shador did not have that same level of charisma that Johnny had in football. Johnny had LeBron, he had Drake. Shador, listen, guys were coming to Colorado games. It was a big thing, but the Johnny hype in 2015, those years was insane. I remember sitting on draft night watching and waiting till Johnny got drafted. This Johnny jersey I've had since high school. I will never get rid of this Johnny jersey, and Johnny is a top 5 college athlete of all time, hype and skill level. It was next level. Obviously did not transition to that in the NFL, but that Shador argument, no. Johnny had that hype. Johnny had that following, and Johnny will always be Johnny football. Now, from that list, another thing I want to talk about was that of the Baker Mayfield debate. Is Baker elite? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are currently undefeated. Baker, obviously a very interesting story, starting in Cleveland, getting shipped out to Carolina after Cleveland for some reason thought Deshaun Watson would be a better option than Baker, gets cut from the Carolina Panthers, goes to the LA Rams, signs on Monday, I believe, starts the game on Thursday for Sean McVay, marches down the field, gets a game-winning drive, signs with Tampa, becomes the Tampa Bay starter, and the rest is history. 3 very solid weapons in Mike Evans, Mbuke, and Chris Godwin. Has a solid running game with Murphy, guys. With Bucky Irvin, my apologies on that. And that 2018 draft class could go down all time as one of the best all time. You have 3 of those first round picks in this photo. Baker, Lamar, and Josh. Baker since 2023 in the regular season, 8,926 passing yards, 74 touchdowns, a 67.4% completion percentage, a quarterback rating of 100, and a record of 21-15. Now, this is a bit deceptive. Let's not forget the rushing stats of Josh Allen. That's what puts them in a different tier. But Baker, I think, for me, Baker kind of joined this conversation last week against Houston on that drive down the field. And you can kind of see that fourth quarter Baker is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. In the first episode, I talked about the what did I call it? Technically, I don't have a word for it, but I call it the elite quarterback scenario, which, again, we'll run through it again. What quarterbacks in the league right now, if you put them in the Cleveland Brown offense, you have 2 minutes, you are down by you are down by 6, you need a touchdown to score, you have 2 timeouts. Who in this NFL are you taking? I said Joey B, I said Josh Allen, I said Lamar Jackson, and I said Patrick Mahomes. That 5th spot was not occupied. I said maybe Baker, maybe Jaden Daniels, and maybe that of a Justin Herbert. I think now Baker Mayfield has fully entered that conversation. I think if the game is on the line, 8 times out of 10, Baker Mayfield is getting you that 7. And I think Baker is starting to enter that conversation of a top 5 quarterback in the league right now. I think Herbert, with his season right now, looks very solid. But I think Baker, on the other hand, is also looking very, 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 very good. And I think we're entering a kind of solidified top 10 list. I think you got Josh at the top. I think you got Lamar at 2. I think you got Patty Mahomes at 3. I think you got Joey Burrow at 4. I think you get Baker at 5. Herbert at 6. Jaden Daniels at 8. And then the list kind of gets, you kind of punch in guys where you maybe can put Jared Goff there. Maybe you could put that of Matt Stafford in there. You're probably not putting Aaron Rodgers in there. But I think after 8, it kind of gets a bit snowy of where we're at right now. But I think Baker is a solidified top 7 guy in the league right now. I think he deserves his flowers. I think he is that old school gunslinger mentality. He was that coming out of college, and I think he is fully deserving of it. The league is going to a run heavy and play smart football, and I think Baker and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going, F it, let's throw the ball down the field, let's push it down the field. When you got as many weapons as you do with Baker, you have a solid line, offensive line, and a solid running back. They can make some noise in the playoffs, and come playoff time, do not be surprised if they make the NFC Championship game against, and Jalen Hurts. I forgot about Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to disrespect Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is definitely in that top 10 conversation. I still don't put him at 5, but he's definitely in that top 10 conversation. But I think we got to give Baker his flowers. I think he is on the very brim. He's on the front door, knocking on the door of that elite top 5 status. But going on from that, let's talk about what people are here for. Are we going to start it off with the AFC Club House rankings? Or are we going to start it off with fantasy? Let's start it off with the Lakeshore Cup. Let's take a look at the results from this past week 3. Started off, myself, Fantasy Bean against Bump Nation. Had another solid week. Just Jonathan Taylor looks like he's going to have a solid year. I'm very excited for that. Finished off with 32 points. I end up beating Lundup 119-83. CeeDee Lamb does go down early, has 0 points, so this could be a very different week. But Pittman's, again, looks solid for him. The Genty conversation is going to be one that is going to be had for a while. The offensive line is a mess right now. The Las Vegas Raiders don't look as good as people thought they might be. Herbert, still a pedestrian week. And again, the lack of a running back number 2 will still affect you. But I pull off the win, move to 2-1. Lundup goes down to 0-3. So we'll see how he rebounds this week. Moving on, Aftermath Records versus 0-3. The Death Row Bowl, guys are calling it. Both guys who co-ran a fantasy team a few years ago with X and Abdul. Abdul comes out on top with a very, very solid week. 24 points from Garrett Wilson. DK Metcalf only finished off with 12 points, which is very interesting to see. Cooper Kupp 5 points. Kyle Pitts 7 points. Jordan Love 11 points. Jimbo, again, another great week for the Bills with 108 rushing yards, 1 rushing TD, and 10 receiving yards. In the offseason, there was a ton of talk about Jimbo not having the same productive year as a fantasy running back with the touchdown points going away. But, he still looks like he's going to be a top 5 running back in fantasy. So we'll see how that goes. X, a disappointing week from Malik Neighbors. Russ Wilson just got benched a few hours ago, so we'll see how Malik does next week. But a disappointing week from Malik Neighbors with 3 points. Dalton Kincaid, a great week. When we get my guy, right boy Ricky Purcell, not 20 points. Looks like he's going to be a solid receiver too for you. Josh Jacobs, a disappointing week in a stunning loss against the Cleveland Browns. I think that Cleveland Browns defense is elite, and I just think there are better days ahead for Josh Jacobs. Kyler, a pedestrian type week. And again, Nick Chubb, I don't know. You got better options on the bench, and I think this week you are going to have a very good week if your players, your superstars have superstar weeks. I think if Malik still had a solid week, you could have had a chance to win. And there were also guys on your bench that probably could have won you that this week. Moving on, Cholito. I'm just going to call you Joe King. Divine against receiver Grim Reaper. This was quite the matchup. Going in last night on Monday Night Football, Divine had Lamar Jackson and Pedro had David Montgomery. Until David Montgomery broke off that 70-yard run, it looked like Pedro was going to lose. He busts that run, and it is game. Divine moves to 1-2 on the season, still with 27 from Lamar, 16 from Bijan Robinson, Tyreek with 15. The Troy Franklin, I don't know why you started Troy Franklin as your receiver too. You had better options on your bench. Getting too cocky against Pedro is what made you lose this week. Pedro, 30 points from David Montgomery, cannot argue with that, and 22 points from Nico Collins. Solid week. Pulls off the win, 113-112 on Sunday Night Football. Got to respect it. You can't keep getting away with this, Pedro. 2-1 on the season. Got to tip my hat to you. Good win. Moving on, Chimbas FC versus Pacheco's Puppy Palace. Riley, man, your running back luck this year. James Conner goes down with a torn ACL. Last week, Austin Eckler goes down with a torn ACL as well, I believe. And now you got no starting running back. And it might be a tough year for you. End up losing against Chimbas FC. Yoshi with a solid week. That two-headed monster of Puka Nacua and Jackson Smith and Jigba might end up winning Yoshi the league. Now with Trey Benson as his running back number 1, Yoshi's team is solid from top to bottom with that James Conner injury. On the other hand, Riley, you got to move either Jefferson or A.J. Brown, and you got to get yourself some depth. Come give Fantasy Bean a call. I got some guys on my bench I would love to trade for either A.J. Brown or Justin Jefferson. Give me a call. Judkins or Bill might be tempting. I'm just saying, give Fantasy Bean a call. End up losing the week 125-109. Moving on, Meat Spinners versus Nightcrawler. Another matchup that came down to Sunday Night Football. Max had Zay Flowers against Tasso's Derrick Henry and Mark Andrews. Another week, another big showing that gets Tasso across the line against a matchup that he probably should have lost. Mark Andrews with 27 points. Derrick Henry started off strong with that 25-yard rushing touchdown. Ends up fumbling, finishes off the night with 10 points. Max, Zay Flowers, 13 receiving yards. Again, Chase Brown, disappointing. So, Max, you got potential, but some disappointing guys for you guys. And Tasso ends up pulling out the victory on Sunday Night Football right beside Pedro. Final matchup of the week, the Reincarnation versus Jaw Rockers. What could have been another Sunday night comeback does not happen. Steffi Milan falls short, 117-123. Jahmyr Gibbs finishes off the night with 27 points. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, 77 receiving yards and 1 touchdown is not enough for them to come back and win this week. Reincarnation, brother, you are storming back with Josh is looking like solid. Again, a disappointing week from Debo. Jalen Warren still looks like a solid flex option and all of that. But again, last week I had the power rankings as Aftermath at 1, Gel King at 2, Meat Spinners at 3, The Reincarnation at 4, Fantasy Bean at 5, Chimbas FC at 6, Jaw Rockers at 7, Hook'em at 8, Nightcrawler at 9, Pacheco's Puppy Palace at 10, Bump Nation at 11, and receiver Grim Reaper at 12. Well, going on to this week's rankings, coming in at number 12 is Pacheco's Puppy Palace. The loss of Austin Eckler and the loss of James Conner is going to be very, very hard for Riley to rebound from. It is a bad draw of hands, and I think the only point to come back is hope your big two of A.J. Brown and Justin Jefferson's put up 25-plus points a week and you squeak out some sneaky victories, or you move one of those pieces, get kind of a lower-tier receiver and a solidified RB2. And I still think you got the depth at receiver with Jalen Waddle there to still make some noise come the regular season. But I think right now, with no running back in sight, I got to put you in at number 12. Coming in at number 11, Bump Nation. Still no running back number 2. Once you get that running back number 2 solidified, Kenneth Gainwell is not a sustainable starter as a running back number 2. Once you get that running back number 2 solidified, I'm just going to pull up the teams on the phone here because you know what? Why not? But I think once you get that running back number 2 solidified, you are going to have a chance to be one of these great teams lined up. But until you get that, I cannot give it to you there. Moving on to number 10, receiver Grim Reaper. 2-1, a sneaky 2-1, because I mean, the first week you beat me by only having 70 points. This week, David Montgomery drops 30 points. And I just think until Henderson becomes a starting caliber running back, you got a slew of receivers right now, but Brian Thomas Jr. has been very disappointing. You still don't have a number 2 running back, and I just think I can't put you higher than number 10 without a solid number 1 running back. David Montgomery, good week, but he's not going to have 30 points every week, so I got to put you in at number 10. You've had 2 very interesting wins, so I'll give you number 10. You're not going any higher. Coming in at number 9, got to give it to Nightcrawler. Another week of one guy or 2 guys having massive weeks. His first win on week 1 was with Derrick Henry and Patty Mahomes both having 30 points. This week, Zay Flowers just forgets to get targets against the Baltimore Ravens and he ends up with finishing with 3 points, and then Mark Andrews gets 27 points. So again, interesting receiver core. T. Higgins with Chase Browning is not going to be a receiver, not going to be what he was projected to be. I think Courtland Sutton is going to be like this with Bo Nix. Same with Drake London. Still a solid team, but no higher than number 9 in my opinion. Coming in at number 9, got to give it to 0-3, which is X. Listen, that Josh Jacobs trade, there are going to be better days ahead. I still think you have a very solid team. Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irvin, Malik Neighbors now with this Jackson Dart starting. It could be very interesting to see how that works out. Ricky Purcell looks good. Dalton Kincaid's going to be a top 5 fantasy tight end. Hampton now with Najee Harris out for the season. Your team, you can make a big comeback this year, and I think this time next week, I think X, you will be higher than number 8. But as of right now, I got to put you in at number 8. Coming in at number 7, Jaw Rockers. Again, the Joey Burrow injury is tough to come back from. Dak Prescott is still a solid quarterback for you. But as of right now, you got a solid team, dude. You got a solid team. Now with Mike Evans out, Mbuke becomes the number 1 receiver in Tampa. But I just think that it is going to be very fluctuated with Breece Hall. I think Keenan Allen right now is still very good, but I think there will be drop-off at one point. I am still on the boat, even though I do have Lon McConkey, so take that with a grain of salt, but I do think that having 3 feasible receivers in fantasy is going to be very tough for Justin Herbert, and it's going to be an odd man out with either Quentin Johnston or Keenan Allen, because Ladd McConkey will not be the odd man out, and I think his floor is what he's getting right now, and his ceiling is still to come. So for that reason, I got to put you in at number 7. Coming in at I don't know why that happened, but coming at number 5 and 6, you got Cholito and Meat Spinners. Tough loss this week for Divine. But you got Lamar, you got Chuba Hubbard, you got Bijan, you got Tyreek Hill, you got Devontae Smith, Tyler Warren, J.K. Dobbins, you got Javonte Williams on the bench, you got Matthew Golden on the bench, you got Jamison Williams on the bench. You have a very solid team from up to down. I think this week you got a bit too cocky with that Troy Franklin starting, and I think if you pivoted, you probably won. But I just think you got a solid team from up to down. There's going to be weeks where you win some, going to be weeks where you don't win some. Devontae, I think, in my opinion, is still a flex guy, not a receiver too, but that is just my opinion. And I think you got a solid stable of running backs. I think you should be making a call to Pacheco's Puppy Palace to try and get one of that. I'm just going to put this trade out there. Listen, do what you want with it. But Devontae Smith and J.K. Dobbins for A.J. Brown or Justin Jefferson. That's all I'm going to say. Just going to put it out there. And then Meat Spinners, listen, this, in my opinion, is going to be your lowest point. Zay Flowers has always been one of those up and down guys. He's been hot. He had one bad week. Marvin Harrison Jr. has been disappointing for you. Chase Brown's been disappointing. You have a solid team, just some disappointing weeks and disappointing players. I think there'll be a rebound. Marvin Harrison Jr. will learn to catch the ball again. Chase Brown is still... The advanced stats show that he's still the bell cow there in Cincy, and I think that there are going to be better weeks ahead for you. Moving into the top 4, at number 4, Chimbas FC. Yoshi, I got to give it to you, brother. Your team, I had you as one of the worst 3 teams in fantasy. With Trey Benson, your running back number 2 is solidified. You got a 2-headed monster in Jackson Smith and Jigba and Puka Nacua, who I think are going to both finish as top 5 fantasy receivers. And I think with that could carry you all the way to the promised land. So hats off to you. Coming in at number 3, Fantasy Bean. Listen, guys are going to say because it's my team, I gave it so high. But, I'm going to read you guys my team and just, I'm very excited for it. Drake May is going to be solid. I don't think he's going to have 28-point weeks like he had that one week, but I think 17 to 15-point weeks is the floor for him. DeAndre Swift, you're on the hot seat for me right now at that running back number 2 position, but Jonathan Taylor happy about. Jamar Chase I'm happy about. Odunze looks solid. Juwan Johnson looks solid. Lad McConkey. I got a solid bench with Bill and Judkins. I got Jerry Jeudy. I still got Xavier Worthy. I've been able to win weeks without Xavier Worthy. DeAndre Hopkins. I am just super fired up about my team. I think I got good depth. I think I got good receivers. I think I got good running backs. I picked up Brock Purdy, so now I got a backup quarterback. It all really depends for me on how Juwan Johnson plays out. Lad McConkey, I think his floor is what he is at right now. I think there are still better weeks ahead for him. Xavier Worthy, we'll see how he comes back. I'm not going to start him right away. I want to see what his weeks look like. I'm very excited about Judkins. Bill might just be one of those rotational pieces. I had higher expectations for him, but the guy was a 5th-round pick. He has been touchdown dependent to be a starter. He finished off with 10 points last week. But I still think as the season goes on, we will see a progressive growth of Judkins and Bill. And I think DeAndre Swift is going this way and those guys are going that way. And at one point, one of those guys will be my RB2. And I'm happy with having DeAndre Swift as a rotational piece for me. And I'm very fired up about Jonathan Taylor and very fired up about Odunze. We'll see how those work out for me. Moving into the top 2, coming in at number 2, the Reincarnation. Solid team up from down. And coming in at number 1, Aftermath Records, solid team up from now. Aftermath Records holds that number 1 spot, and the Reincarnation, brother, I think I had you also bottom 3 to back, and your team, dude, Josh, we might get to a point next year where Josh might be a 1st-round pick in fantasy because he just can win guys weeks single-handedly. To back, you are leading the league in points for with 393. And I would have you on number 1. The only reason is I still like Abdul's depth. But Abdul, take this into consideration. You are 1st with the least points scored against at 248. You have been lucky with your matchups. You can only beat the team that is in front of you, but to back's team on paper is good. His starting lineup, I think, is a starting lineup better caliber-wise than yours. But I think, Abdul, the only reason you're in that number one spot is you have better bench depth than that of Tabak. I think Tabak's bench is very, very thin. Tutton, we'll see how that works out. But Abdul, you got the better bench depth. I got to give you that number one spot. The only two 3-0 teams left in the league. And there is your Lakeshore Cup Power Rankings after 3 weeks. At number one, Aftermath Records. At number two, The Reincarnation. Number three, Fantasy Beans. Might eat my words. We'll see how this week goes. Number four, Chimbas FC. Number five, Meat Spinners. Number six, Cholito. Number seven, Jaw Rockers. Number 8, 0-3. Number 9, Nightcrawler. 10, Receiver Grim Reaper. You cannot keep getting away with this, Pedro. But 2-1. Number 10. It is what it is. Bump Nation at 11. And the guy who's having the worst fantasy luck this year, Pacheco's Puppy Palace at 12. Riley, you got to make some phone calls, dude, in my opinion. But those are my Lakeshore Cup Power Rankings after 3 weeks in the league. Going on from fantasy, let's move it on to the AFC Club House Rankings. Very interesting week for the AFC. The Baltimore Ravens lose against the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football. Lamar Jackson got sacked 7 times. The Cleveland Browns upset the Green Bay Packers. Just a ton of movement this week in the AFC. So let's kick it off at number 16, the Tennessee Titans. I mean, you got Cam Ward. That's all I really got to say. You got Cam Ward. Moving on, at number 15, you got the Las Vegas Raiders. +3. You're a step above the Tennessee Titans. You got Ashton Genty. You got Jacoby Myers, Geno Smith. I mean, against the Chargers, you guys couldn't move the ball at all. And, I mean, at that point, what are you guys doing? You guys are putting Alshon Genty. Chip Kelly's putting Genty on a snap count for who knows what reason. I get it. Genty needs to get better at blocking, at pass pro, but you drafted him top 10 for a reason. Use the guy. The guy's a Heisman football winner or a Heisman Trophy winner. Use the guy. And Geno, I mean, Geno's Geno. You're not really fighting for anything. I mean, at this point, the Tennessee Titans at least have Cam Ward, who could be something in the future. But right now, you guys are kind of what I like to call a filler or NPC team in the AFC. And for that reason, I got to put you guys at number 15. Coming in at the 12th spot, the Cleveland Browns, Miami Dolphins, and New England Patriots. Cleveland Browns defense is elite, probably the best in the NFL. Big upset win against the Green Bay Packers, but what are you guys doing here? I get it, you guys are trying to win games, but if you guys sneak into the playoffs, what do you I get it, defense wins championships, but see what you guys have in your second-round pick or third-round pick in Gabriel Davis. See what you have in Shedeur Sanders. I get it. Flacco's Flacco. Make some calls. Go ship him out to Cincy and get one of the other guys in and just see what you got there. You guys are going to play close games all year with that defense, with that pass rush, but plan for the future. See what you got at quarterback, and if you need to, not tank, but, try and get a quarterback to go with that stellar defense because you guys are not going to lose pieces. So, again, in my opinion, that's just my opinion. Miami, I thought you guys were the worst team in football, or the worst team in the AFC, but, I mean, you guys played for your coach. I think we're getting to the point you guys played the Bills close. If Tua doesn't turn the ball over, I mean, we could be having a different conversation. But I think the team likes McDaniels, and I think they got to move off Tua, and I think they got to move off their GM, and I think if you build around Mike McDaniels with a proper quarterback, it could be interesting. And I think you guys are going to play teams close. You guys showed signs of life, and I think that you guys might finish off the season better than I thought. I thought Mike, if that game was a blow-up at halftime, it would be a very different tune I'd be talking. You guys probably wouldn't have Mike McDaniels as coach right now. I think you guys want to blow it up, but I think see what you have with Ewers and go from there, in my opinion. But as of right now, I can't put you guys higher than Cleveland. And then the Patriots, I'm a big Drake May guy. I think he's going to be solid in this league. I still think that the Patriots might finish second in the AFC East, but he made some mistakes, threw that pick in the end zone, which would have ultimately had a tie game there. Makes some mistakes. I'm still hanging my hat on. He is somewhere in between second year and first year Josh. Still making mistakes, still making some WTF throws, but the rushing upside is there. He's making some. I watched a lot of that Patriots game because it was Sunday, and I got Drake on my fantasy team, and I just felt good about watching him. And he made some very good throws. He made some bad throws. He made some questionable decisions. But I think as of right now, Cleveland, Miami are in that same sort of pack of teams that have might cause headaches. People might play close, but I can't put them in the next tier above, which is coming in at the 8th spot. This is the middle of the pack teams: the New York Jets, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Houston Texans, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Houston, solid defense, very, very good defense. I think the red zone percentage is like 10%, 15%, which is embarrassing. CJ Stroud has no time to throw the ball, and I just think that we are seeing very much a big regression. Same with the Jacksonville Jaguars, same sort of thing. Receivers are not catching passes from Trevor Lawrence. Cincy they got absolutely demolished against the Minnesota Vikings. New York Jets played the Buccaneers close, but end up losing the game. This is that tier of guys at +1 who I just think might be a playoff team, might be picking, might not make it, but they can still play teams tight, have some upsets, and have some solid games. The Bengals could move up if Joey Burrow comes back. But again, Chase Browning has to settle the ship and just kind of hold it down until Burrow comes back. Now we move into what I think are kind of our playoff picture for the AFC. You got Kansas City at -1, Indy at -1, Denver Broncos at -1, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers at even. My apologies on that one. But KC, Indy, and Denver are going to be your playoff teams in the AFC. Denver have a solid defense. Bo Nix is doing enough to win them games. Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers, and listen, you can't write off Aaron Rodgers. You can't write off Mike Tomlin. They always end off the season with a positive record. So again, I'm not going to write them off yet, but they're kind of teetering in between a playoff team, teetering in between this tier of the +1 guys. But I think Indy, Denver, and KC, Chiefs are the Chiefs. They are down right now, but I'm never going to count out the Chiefs. Indianapolis, that Indy-Denver game could have gone either way. If that flag never got called, Denver is 2-1 and Indy is 2-1. But the flag doesn't get called. Indy has a second chance to kick a game-winning field goal. They do. And they move on to 3-0 on this, or I guess 2-0 on the season, but now 3-0 in the season with a win against the Titans. We will see this week where Indy kind of ends up when they play an actual matchup in the LA Rams. But as of right now, I think this is kind of our solidified 4 seed and 2 wild card seeds in that third seed. We'll see if one of these other teams in a Pittsburgh or maybe a Jets or Bengals or a Houston or Jacksonville kind of pushes into that last wild card slot. Then our top 3 pretty much unchanged from last week. The LA Chargers have risen above the rest. That's why they're at -3 coming in. Herbert looks good. You got 3 good receivers. You got a solid run game. You got a solid defense. You got a coach who has won in this league and college football. You got Greg Roman, an offensive coordinator who is known for running the game, who has developed a passing game. And I just think this is a recipe for a team that might make some noise in the AFC. They're above. They got that gap above the rest of these other guys. I think they got a gap above Kansas City. They beat Kansas City. And I just think that 3 spot is where they'll live until stuff changes in the first and second slot. And we got a new top division. We got Baltimore and Buffalo tied at -4 for the lunch slot. Baltimore's 1-2. Buffalo 3-0. Buffalo, the reason I have them tied right now because this conversation could be very different if that tip from Dawson Knox that was intended for Shakir doesn't go to Keon Coleman, and the Bills are 2-1, and the Baltimore Ravens are 2-1. Baltimore started off the season on a gauntlet. They played Buffalo week 1. They played was it Cleveland week 2? Maybe not. They played a different team week 2. And now I don't know off the top of my head, but they blew out a team week 2, and then they played the Detroit Lions in week 3. They played 2 Super Bowl contenders in the first 2 weeks of the season. They're 1-2. I mean, like I said, that tip pass never happens, and Keon never catches that. We're probably talking a different story right now. But I still think Baltimore has a better team from up to down on defense. I think Baltimore has Buffalo's number in the run game. I'm not saying winning games, but I think Baltimore with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson is still causing headaches for Buffalo. I haven't seen enough from Buffalo's defense. They kept Miami in the game. They did destroy the Jets, but they kept Miami in the game other than, I mean, this is a conversation I had last week, but again, I think the Bills are having luck that they haven't had before. I think the Terrell Bernard interception won him that week. I think the Derrick Henry fumble won him the week 1 game. But I got to see more from the Bills defense. I think we're not going to see what Sean McDermott and Bobby Babish want from that Bills defense until Ogunjobi and Hoyt are back, as well as Max Hairston, our first-round pick. And there could be a conversation to be had come trade deadline if the Bills are in position for that 1 seed in the driver's seat. They got the tiebreaker over Baltimore. They don't play the Chargers, and they play the Kansas City Chiefs. If they're in the driver's seat for that 1 seed, do they make a move at the trade deadline for a defensive tackle or for a corner? But that is a conversation for a week, in a few weeks. But right now, this is what I got the AFC Club House rankings. We got some movement. Baltimore is now on par with Buffalo at -4, with both of them having the number 1 ranking in the clubhouse. LA Chargers get a bit of breathing room at -3. They kind of move up from the Kansas City Chiefs, Indianapolis Colts, and Denver Broncos, all at -1. Pittsburgh is still on par. The Jets, Cincinnati Bengals, Houston Texans, and Jacksonville Jaguars are at +1. Cleveland moves up. Miami moves up, both to +2. Both teams that are going to play teams tight and cause some headaches for some teams. And teams that I could see move into that on par, who could play on par. I just think Cleveland is not playing their situation correctly, in my opinion. And I think Miami is playing for their coach. And I think their situation is going to be very tough to see what they do with Tua. Patriots stay at +2. Las Vegas Raiders and Tennessee Titans both move down. Raiders at +3 as a 15th spot, and at the worst spot in the AFC clubhouse right now, Tennessee Titans at +4. But that is all from me, guys. I will catch you guys next week with a new episode with updated power rankings, updated clubhouse rankings. Maybe we'll see some stuff within a week to talk about. As always, guys, subscribe. Follow me on all social media. If you want to join the show, hit me up on social media. I'll be more than happy to have anybody come on, defend their fantasy team, talk to me about ball, talk about anything. I am always welcome to having a guest on. As always, guys, subscribe. I'm on FTN Network Podcast is on anywhere you get your podcasts. So follow it, subscribe, like the video, comment below if there's any topics you want to see me talk about. As always, guys, see you guys next week and have a great week.